Right, let's start. This is by far the most ambitious, I think, both in terms of technical complexity and just the fact that you guys are all hungover. Well, not all of you. Lewis isn't.
I'm all right, to be fair.
You're all right, yeah.
I'm pretty good.
No, we're just all underslept. I'm the only one who's hungover.
Right, okay, fine. That we have ever attempted here. There's chances are something's going to go wrong, and the people watching or listening to this now are like, I can't hear that guy, or that guy's out of focus. But we are just going to push on anyway, because that's what we do. Let's begin with introductions. We'll go around the table. What's your name? Where do you come from? What rum are you making? Lewis, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Lewis from DropWorks. I'm the founder and master distiller at DropWorks. I've been running bars in the City of London for a good while. That's Merchant House and Black Parrot bars. I live in Nottingham. That's roughly where the distillery is. So yeah, living many hats, I would say.
Nice. Colin?
Collin van Schayk from Gergo Rum, all the way up in Orkney. Been making rum for 9 years. Yeah, living the dream, you know.
Hi, yeah. I don't make rum. I've worked with a rum called Outlier, made on the Isle of Man, and I mostly concentrate on the on-trade. So bars, restaurants, and so on. A bit of advocacy, a bit of sales, a bit of everything else.
And you like rum?
And I love rum. I've been known to drink a little bit of rum in my life and work in a few rum related roles.
What was the gin chapter about?
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was the next question.
Okay, so those of you who know me will know that possibly the only thing that I'm more of a geek about than rum is cocktail history. And the chance to work for Jared Bratton was really the big draw for me for Sipsmith. And you know, and also I do like gin. I mean, it's not rum, but I do like gin. But yeah, and that was mainly a huge chance to work with a big brand and you know, test out how a more corporate job is. Not for me. And yeah, the chance to work with Jared was huge.
Cool. Thanks for getting that one in there. Yeah,
Sorry.
No, it was good. It was going to be in that. So okay, you're all making and or selling British rum. British rum's quite a new thing though, right? It's not been around for long at all. How long? Like a decade and a half, something like that?
Yeah.
Colin, I feel like you should go on this one because like you've been going a long time, right?
Well, yeah. 9 years. I think we were the second or third in Scotland, but two of the other ones are no longer making it.
Scotland was pretty early in on the game.
So technically we're the oldest in Scotland, but even it's still only 9 years, so
Yeah.
Still
early days, but
I remember we did a launch party in either 2015 or 16 in trailer for Mutuga.
Yeah.
That was really the first sort of British rum that I encountered.
yeah, they were getting theirs made in England first, though. So
And what I understand about
and then they moved to Livingston a couple of years after, I think.
Okay. What I understand about rum in Britain is that no one was producing rum in Britain. No one's fermenting molasses in Britain at the start of 2015.
Yeah, I think it's 2012.
2012?
Yeah, I think it was 2012. I'm not sure who that
English
was.
Spirit.
English Spirit, yeah.
That's
2012?
Right. Yeah.
Old Salt Rum, was it? That's their one, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is surprising, isn't it, given how closely tied Britain is to rum?
There was a fair bit of molasses spirit made in Bristol specifically, but it was mostly used as a base for gin in the late 17th and early 18th century. This is
why you work for a gin brand.
There was molasses spirit. It just wasn't used as rum.
Right. Like, I mean, yeah, molasses spirit's still used in some vodkas as well, so I'm led to believe. Or sugar beet spirit, anyway.
No, Scotland was making rum like 300 years ago in Glasgow when the sugar was coming directly into Glasgow.
But nevertheless, it's relatively small. Like, Britain basically outsourced all its rum production to the colonies.
Oh, very much so.
So do you think that was why it took so long for British-made rum to come about? Because it was always this sort of colonial good that was imported and sort of this is made elsewhere and we make other things here, or we consume these things here?
I think that's part of it. The other part of it is obviously that small-scale distilling as such picked up relatively recently. And again, to go back to my gin job,
Keep going up.
Simpson was very much the first one to start small scale craft distilling in the UK, and outside of some really, really big players even today, a lot of rum production is relatively small, even outside of the UK. Rum distilleries quite often are not huge operations compared to some of the big Scotch distilleries, for example. So I think that played a part, as well as, the UK and England having access to so much rum from its colonies, over its history.
Yeah.
I think there's two things from my side that I view as the reason that it wasn't happening. A, great rum existed. There was no sort of call to action to go, we've got to do something here, which I feel, although there's still great rum out there, I feel like there's a call to action right now that there hasn't been in the past. And also, no, lost it, brain fart.
But okay, so the call to action, you think there's a demand for British-made spirits, and rum can be part of that?
I think there's a demand for quality.
I mean, as you say, there is already quality coming from the Caribbean, right, and elsewhere. But there's something about a British-made product that can also meet that quality requirement that the consumers are finding attractive.
Yeah, I think I think there's a massive gap between what's being produced and what people are consuming. And without going straight for it, for me, the big issue is that although there's great rum out there, people aren't aware of it, not en masse. We might be, people listening to this podcast might be aware of great rum brands, but you look at the numbers and see what the general public across the population of the world, or even just focus on the UK, you look at what they're drinking, and all the data out there shows you they're not drinking the good stuff that you and I would be thinking of. And that's really different to every other spirit category out there.
Do you think in some ways it's actually easier to market a high quality, for want of a better term, craft product when it's made like around the corner from you than it is when it's made on a small island in the Caribbean?
Oh, interesting. I think yes, I do. There's authenticity to producing it yourself and being able to explain the process. We have a distillery. You can come and visit the distillery and you can smell and taste and see. I think a lot of the rum from the Caribbean, because it's got such a history and a heritage, they often are marketed in a way that relies on historical, I'm going to say the word tropes.
I thought you were going to do that. No, that's totally right, yeah.
Which avoids production. And it is the opposite of authenticity. It's disingenuous.
I do think that's quite often the case when those Caribbean distilleries and those brands are owned by brands outside of the Caribbean, that marketing happens very often. But I think there's an increasing drive from distilleries that are actually owned by people from the Caribbean to focus more on the authenticity of rum, and whether that be the production or the actual history behind it, which for a long time was kind of swept under the rug, because it's quite an uncomfortable history.
Yeah, but do you think that drive for them to market in that way, focusing on production, ingredients, is partly come from competition abroad, where not just in the rum category, but in, let's say, gin or whiskey, the chat has drifted more towards, this is how we do it, this is when we harvest it, this is what it tastes like because of that, this is how we ferment it. And rum has had to sort itself out and follow suit. Caribbean rum, this is.
I definitely think so. I think there's an increasing demand for provenance among consumers, both in the off-trade, following on from food trends, and certainly in the on-trade. There's been a massive shift towards knowing exactly where you're sourcing everything from, how exactly you make it, what that results in, your process.
I think there's nuance to the question there that I would view the answer slightly. I don't disagree with you, but I would phrase it slightly differently, which is to say, I think the impetus for change has not come from other producers outside of the Caribbean producing such high quality, interesting rum that has forced the guys in the Caribbean to up their game. I think it's more consumer led. people know more about production because of the gin movement, because of mezcals, tequilas, because of craft beers. Consumers know more than ever. And I think that's what rum producers are responding to, the consumer demand.
Well, there's also been an internal push led by a certain set of rum makers to bring more clarity into what actually goes into your bottle. There's been a lot of dismissive attitude towards rums and towards a lot of brands adding various additives, undisclosed additives, and that's been at the forefront of the conversation for the last 10 years, I'd say, in rum, and and then it picked up in tequila as well recently with the whole
matchmaker and additives. Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, but even some of the rum producers you're alluding to, like Richard Seal at Foursquare, I think he would honestly say that his ambitions to elevate the rum category create some transparency around production, but not completely transparent, is largely been influenced by the whiskey industry. He sees the sort of cachet that whiskey has, single malt whiskey, this is, I guess, sort of the best bourbons too, and thinks, well, rum should be playing in that field, so why can't we market it in the same way and talk about it in the same way and then sell it at the same price?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing I guess that interests me about British rum is that because it's so new, you don't necessarily need to play by the same rules as historic distilleries elsewhere in the world might, where they've got tried and tested formulas that they can't really break or tear up, where they have house styles, where they have limitations on raw materials, limitations on climate. So you have, I would imagine, a little bit more of a carte blanche to create a specific style of rum, or indeed styles of rum under one brand or house. And that's a double-edged sword, isn't it? One is, what's your consistency? Like, what do you actually represent? What do you stand for? What is your product? Well, that one tastes like fucking sherry, and that one tastes like, I don't know, cane or whatever. And that one's sweet and that one's spicy. But also, you can just play around and go, right, well, do you like this? We've made this style of rum. And you're kind of establishing a British style during the whole process of this, right?
Yeah. Do you want to
go?
You've been doing it the longest, right? So
I have, yeah. I don't think there's a set British style at all, really, but the climate for aging is definitely starting to show more that now that everyone's got older stuff coming out, which is quite interesting.
In what way is it showing?
It's just completely different to Caribbean age stuff. I don't think you're getting the same sort of sugar extraction out of the wood and stuff because the heat just isn't, well, from where we are, the heat just isn't there.
You got your own
climate. I can't speak for anyone else, I suppose, but yeah, it's very different. It's going to be really interesting when we've all got 8-year-olds and older stuff out, just to see what it does, see what it's like.
I think there's a number of different things going on. I'm really glad what we haven't done with rum in the UK is what the English whiskey guys are pushing on. I don't know enough about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. I don't know where they're at with it, but the idea of pushing rules and regulations that would restrict, you alluded to it being a double-edged sword. I don't want to restrict. I want to see people create, innovate. Where's the R&D departments? Let's have fun. Let's see where it's going. There are rules. There are rules around what's classified as a rum. So, for example, at DropWorks, we stick to those rules that are all across the EU and the UK. We don't have to age for 2 years, for example, like they do in Australia. But we don't add sugar, even though there's a certain limit of sugar people can add to their rum. So that would be a rule. You can't add flavorings. So we don't add flavorings. So there are certain rules that already exist. I think in terms of a British identity, I remember when Dr. Frank Ward came to our distillery. What a sweet guy. I mean, that's a patronizing word, but just one of the most lovely, lovely guys, right? And he the way he explained it to me was at Mount Gay, all we could ever do was what we had always done. My father did this, his father did that, and there was servicing a brand, producing liquid to fill bottles to get out there. It had been commoditized. I don't want to do that brand down because they do amazing stuff. But coming to our distillery, he was like, you guys can do whatever you want to do within the rules. I would little asterisk that. And the freedom and the creativity that comes from that. I mean, Collin was doing chestnut casks, and that was an inspiration to
The
them.
first ever. Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, Mister.
And would we
French guy.
restrict it?
First.
Would we restrict it to say you can't use?
Been used in the whiskey industry a lot historically, of course, chestnut casks. In fact, I would say there's probably still some sitting around in some dunnages in Scotland, which technically can't be released as whiskey, but probably will be.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
about those as well.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Well, Method of Madness did a chestnut cask some years ago.
That's Irish, so isn't it? I guess
There's
yeah.
Swedish and Norwegian whiskey aged in chestnut as well.
Yeah, McMira did some.
Yeah.
Ferron did one of their Renegade casks or something like that. Can't remember the name of the series, but they did a chestnut one.
But yeah, there's, like I said, there's sort of infinite variables and possibilities that we're allowed to work with and still be within the rules. Cask types, yeast, still types, fermentation length, like just everything.
Yeah.
Same
And I guess like in its sort of nascent years as we are in now, obviously with British rum, that I think you do need a great deal of creative freedom to be able to explore different avenues and see what works and see what doesn't. But do you think at some point in time there's going to need to be a GI? I mean, at the moment, I think there's something like 100 British rum brands, but only a third of them, max, are actually making their own rum, right? A lot of these so-called British rums, Cornish rum, whatever, they're importing it from the Caribbean or South America or wherever they can get it.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, Amsterdam, yeah, but by way of Amsterdam or whatever it is. Is that a problem?
I think it is a problem. I think again, what we're trying to think about here is the way that consumers receive it. What do they understand British rum to be? And if British rum means we took some rum from Jamaica and Guyana and blended it here in Britain, that's a totally different message to we fermented a raw material from sugarcane in the UK, in Britain, and created a rum by definition here in the UK. And I think we have to distinguish between the two. I don't know if the way around that legally is GI. It might well be. But I definitely think that is problematic. I think we've already got a bigger problem to start with, though, which is the definition of rum and rums being labeled as rum that aren't rums, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like rums that have beyond the sugar limit, rums that have flavorings added to them. The disingenuous stuff that's out there already, I feel, is the bigger problem at hand, rather than the identity around Britishness.
Yeah, there are people using Jaggery, there are people using Panela, stuff that is, yes, you can ferment it, but it doesn't meet the technical definition of rum.
Yeah.
For me, certainly. I think eventually a GI is definitely a good idea for British rum once we have some more clarity on what being a British rum means. I mean, even on much more traditional rum making areas, let's say Jamaica, obviously trying to implement its own GI right now. The distilleries share some similarities. There is a semi-defined Jamaican style, but modern Jamaican rums, Valley Park and Hamden and Appleton, let's say, you can immediately distinguish between them. It's not a uniform style even there either.
So you're saying it's not restrictive in that way?
I don't think it's restrictive at all. Yeah, I think it establishes a baseline that is necessary for quality. I quite often say this about, especially about cognac and sherry. It's like really hard to make a bad cognac or a bad sherry because the baseline regulations for those spirits and the baseline regulations in that GI or AOC or whatever you call it, ensure a minimum quality. And I think that's what it should be. And I think that's why it'll be useful to have one for UK-made rums, British rums.
Yeah, I think where the GI needs to stop, for this goes for any spirit category or any, I suppose I should say place, since that's what they're about, is not attempting to control the outcome in terms of flavor, right? It needs to control various basic production standards at its best, I think. But like to do with sugar and base material and location. But that doesn't need to sort of then orchestrate a specific style from a specific region. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a style. And to your point about Jamaica, yeah, the 3 distilleries you mentioned, they are different, though they are all kind of Jamaican in their own way, right? And they're not from anywhere else in their own way. So you know, we could have a British rum GI that maintains a sort of base standard of this is what it says on the label and this is what you can expect, and it won't have shitloads of sugar in it, and it will actually be made in the British Isles. And separate to that entirely, we can go, British rums tend to have this flavor profile, like they sort of gravitate, and it's because it's cooler than what we're used to in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, wherever else production is, and so the maturation goes off in a slightly different way. And so there is a very broad house style of what British rum can be, but that's not legislated.
Yeah.
Agree.
I'm all up for that because I think what that does is, I think what that does is put the emphasis on the craftsmanship. It's the production processes that it gives the freedom for, but it means, no, you have to, for lack of a better word, craft it. You've got to use your craft, your skills to do it here. And it puts a location on it, which is why GI is important. I guess the problem is who's going to do it, who's going to get it through. And we're all small, we're startups, we don't have the power, the time, the money or the experience, I guess, to actually push it through.
Well, you're also up against some quite big spiced rum brands as well now, right? I mean, Dead Man's Fingers is a fucking big brand now, right?
Which one?
I don't. I mean, I'm not really up to speed on all the different spice rums, but I imagine they're all doing kind of crazy volume, really.
So is the thought there that there might be opposition to it?
Yeah, I mean, because you know, this is true, like you say, of the rum world generally, that we have this problem between sort of spice rum, which is basically fucking throw any flavor you like into this product, and it doesn't even really matter that it might have been made from molasses in the first place.
KFC rum,
and authentic rum. I mean, there's you know, that needs to be hashed out at some point in the future, I think, because it's misleading consumers. And the problem, which I'm sure you guys often face, as do, you know, the better producers of rum in the Caribbean and elsewhere, is that you put a great rum in front of them and they go, oh, right, okay, well, this is sort of like not as smooth as I would expect.
Tastes like whiskey.
It tastes like whiskey. It doesn't taste of cinnamon or like fucking birthday cake. So what's wrong with it? You know? Oh no, I'll go back to the, you know, sweet jelly colored bottle on the shelf that you know tastes like candy. And so you have a misrepresentation of rum to the point where it shouldn't probably even have rum on the label.
And that's the biggest problem, I think. And that's the main thing that needs hashed out is spiced rum needs to get to fuck. It needs to be its own.
By the way, is anyone making a spiced rum?
Yeah, we all do. Oh, you don't, but yeah.
we do have a spice rum that is literally called
We do.
literally called Twisted Arm.
Right, I like that. That's
You
cool.
know,
But yeah,
to face up to market reality.
that's what we started with because it's quicker to make and
Yeah.
the casks obviously take a bit longer and all that. And to be fair, it funds all the fun stuff that we do.
Yeah, it's the rum.
I'll
version
still
of what
hate
the
on
base
it though.
is.
I'll still hate on it. It's fine.
But it's not a problem within the rum category in the sense that the rules don't exist to stipulate what one category is to another.
Yeah,
the
it'd
problem
be
is the
good
regulation.
If people saw it as a separate drink, it would be good because it's like comparing Drambuie to Macallan or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm a whiskey drinker and then I drink Drambuie. You'd get laughed at, but it's the same. The consumers go, I'm a rum drinker. Have you got a banana one? It's just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with GI or any, like say, legislative certification, is it's not trying to say you can't make that anymore. It's just saying that should be labeled differently. And so people have a better understanding of what it is they're getting, and they're not being kind of duped or believe that they're drinking this thing. And actually, when we had it with gin liqueurs as well, didn't we? Like,
Oh yes.
you know, all of a sudden, I mean, it's effectively it was gin spiced rum moment.
Yeah.
That moment seems to have passed quite quickly as it sort of came about. It's kind of gone. Spiced rum has been kind of bubbling away there for years now, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, God, I remember in my early drinking days, I used to drink Morgan spiced, but that was kind of pretty much the only spiced rum available at the time. Not that I was like, damn, I need more spiced rum. You know, it was a gateway.
This is just not enough.
No, my wish has come true. Yeah, this is absolutely loads. It's all your fault. It's not mine entirely, yeah. First 10 podcasts on this show were all about, like, bring us more spiced rums.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, well, look, we've got a lot of rum to taste here as well. You guys have all brought something along. So, God, who wants to go first? What should we try first?
I'll happily go first.
Yeah.
Probably because these guys can talk about their products a bit more than I can because I don't make it. So got some of our Mistral here.
So tell us a little bit more about the distillery.
Okay, so started in 2020. It was very much a lockdown project for Ian, our founder, he's originally a wine guy, and that informs everything in the way that he makes his rums. So the yeast that we use is originally a wine yeast that is specifically for low temperature climates, you know, be able to function in much lower temperatures, again, compared to somewhere like the Caribbean, and result in very high yields. Because we're such a small operation, we need to maximize everything that we can. So
How small is small?
well, we use 1,000-liter fermenters, and we end up with a 17% wash after 2 weeks of fermentation. So yeah,
That's huge. You said 17%.
17% wash after 2 weeks of fermentation. It's a crazy yeast. Yeah. Originally it was 19 days until Ian realized that he can use a jacketed IBC for temperature control. Originally it was a very maverick operation, you know. So 2 weeks temperature controlled fermentation using this special wine yeast, and then distilled in a 165-liter pot still with a free plate mini Collin at the end. You know, no additives, no sugar, no flavorings, none of that bullshit. It's also unfiltered. You know, we want to keep as much of those nice fatty oils in, maintain maximum flavor, maintain maximum texture as well. We also use battonage, again, going back to Ian's wine background. After fermentation, we use battonage, so we mix the lees, we mix the dead yeast back into the liquid again to maximize flavor. We have a catalyzer, we have a deflammator. The deflammator gets switched off when we make rum for aging. So this is the oldest that we've released so far, 4 years. 3 years in New American Oak, and obviously New American Oak can be quite an active cask. So it resulted in a rum that was very pokey, very pointy. Needed some softening out. So for 1 year, it went into the same cask that held a rum called Millions of Peaches, which was the first thing that really made a lot of people notice Outlier. So that was a rum aged for 3 years entirely in an ex-Sauternes cask. And in my experience, Sauternes casks can really go one of two ways. Either you get something that's wonderful and soft and fruity, or you get a mess, because obviously we work so hard in distillation to get all those sulfuric compounds out. And then you go, here's a Sauternes cask. Have every sulfite you've ever seen in your life. I've had some rums from companies that I adore that just didn't work particularly well. Thankfully, this one did. So for 1 year, we put it into the ex-Peaches cask, which was, by this point, both ex-Sauternes and ex-rum. So our base distillate is very, very fruit-forward. You know, you get lots of stone fruit.
And you didn't say it, but you're on Isle of Man, right?
We are on the Isle of Man, indeed, for the time being.
So
it is moving over to the main.
so we're in with British rums here. We've got 2 island rums.
We're on an island?
We're on an
It's
island.
bad to say British.
That's all right. British. Yeah, that's right.
Where nothing is.
Yeah. Not the main island, is what I'm saying. This is the main.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, the Scottishness is.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, do you
we have
consider
a
yourself more Scandi than?
we have a mainland, and then we have the
Yeah, you have. yeah.
outer
Do you,
island.
do you live on the mainland, but the distillery is on a smaller island? Is that right?
Yeah, but it's connected
Right.
via some causeways that were
Right.
built by prisoners of war, definitely not to aid the war effort at all. But
Another podcast, is that?
yeah, that's a long one. That.
So this is high strength, right?
Oh yeah, this is 63%. Yeah, is that cast strength?
It's got a really
Yeah.
interesting sort of apricot-y, plummy note to it.
It's very stone fruity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people listening know what time of day this is?
Sometimes we say that.
And
So here I am.
we should mention.
It's not even 9 a.m. And what is it? 63? Do you say?
63.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't drinking.
I love his
last
like,
night
I'll
as
go
well, so
first.
that's good.
Straight in. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, so much stone fruit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So is this the Sauternes cask? Is it? So
So it's well, the
That's,
base distillate. I don't have the base distillate on me,
63%,
but
isn't it?
our base distillate is very fruity
okay.
by itself. It's got a lot of the stone fruit. It's also got a lot of citrus. What this adds is it boosts the stone fruit, and then for me on the finish, I always get lots of white pepper and fennel. That sort of rounds it out much. Compared to the peaches was wonderful, but that was all stone fruit. Here you can tell the American oak influence has given it
It's
more
crazy
roundness.
how much life was still in that cask. Though.
Yeah.
I want to taste.
For a year.
I want to taste the Sauternes that came
Yeah.
out of it. Like,
Yeah, right.
It's wild. That's incredible.
It is, isn't it? After it's already had rum in there for 3 years, and then this bourbon cask rums, well, not bourbon cask, American whiskey, brand new whiskey, American.
New oak.
Yeah.
Yeah, New oak.
For then a year. Wow.
I think this is a really good example of what's exciting about British rum at the moment because, and Isle of Man, etc. Sorry, add that into the extra bit of Britishness. Sorry, is the uniqueness of the flavor profile, right? It's the quality in the glass, and it's the flavor profile in the glass. That's not a Jamaican rum. That's not a Cuban rum. That's not a Guadeloupean rum.
Yeah.
It's utterly unique.
The amount of times I get, I've never had a rum like this, and absolutely. I mean, the first time I tried it, this was
I think I wouldn't even say it was rum. I think I'd say it was aged eau de vie.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying this was one of the reasons I ended up working for the brand. I absolutely fell in love with this. And Ian's approach to aging, I was when you sent over the questions, I talked to him about it. What's your approach to aging? And it was, it's ready when it's ready. You know, he doesn't aim for a specific age. He doesn't aim for a specific, like, this is when we take it out of the barrel. This is when we're going to bottle it. It's like, okay, this is good now.
it's fun. It's fun, but it's quality all at the same time.
Yeah. It's really palatable as well at 63% at 8:55 in the morning as well.
It drinks very easily.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying about eau de vie, aged eau de vie. There are honestly times when I'm in my warehouse where I'm opening up barrels and I go, is this a mezcal? Is this a brandy?
There we go. This is the British rum style.
Yeah.
It actually tastes like whiskey.
You don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
It's diverse. That's
Diverse. Yeah, but then I mean, as it should be in its early years, right? I mean, if it's not diverse, then we're missing an opportunity, aren't we? We've got to be exploratory. You've got to be exploratory. To find out what the potential is, what can work. And I mean, it's so great that there's all the learnings of these great producers in elsewhere in the world. I'm going to keep saying the Caribbean, but of course it's not just the Caribbean, but largely the Caribbean. These great producers now, great blenders who we have decades, centuries sometimes of experience and recipes, and many great liquids now that we can sort of go to and go, okay, they did that and that works. And you can kind of then transpose that into your own production and then modify and go, well, what about this? What about that? Because there's that freedom to do it. And that's really exciting.
Can I say something on that? Which is
No, sorry.
Yeah, no, right, that's it.
It's a podcast.
Well, it's because we're talking about your rum, and I don't want to detract from that. But I got a little story
Of course,
about.
go for it.
So it was when I was in Haiti, and
Oh, you've been to Haiti, have you?
Yeah, I feel very privileged, very lucky to
Yeah.
have been. It's
amazing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy, beautiful, wonderful place.
Yeah.
And so you've been, haven't you?
I
Yeah.
have.
And you can
You
picture
can't all write books.
you can picture the roads or lack of, right? And for those that haven't been that are listening, like donkeys are very busy in Haiti, right? Because that there aren't roads to navigate a car down, but donkeys can. And the beautiful thing about that is that each village, in a way, has its own production of clairin, of a, you might describe it as a rum, but they would call it clairin. And for me, where I'm going with this is that when I was there and smelling and tasting and seeing the nuances of all these different clairins, you appreciate the artisanal process, the genuine, what has now been termed craftsmanship of the production process that is not about the commoditisation of the end result. You got people turning up from their village, getting it straight off the still, filling their large jerry cans at still strength. There's no maturation. There's no label. It's not about that. They make it to consume, to enjoy as part of life.
Yeah, and then some of these producers there might only be 100 people consuming that rum just in that local community. Like every community seems to have a still, and like instead of like a town hall or a library, that's a still.
It is that analogy,
yeah. And you take your cane there and you press it and you distill. But you're right, a lot of them sort of put their own watermark almost on it. Sometimes they're throwing herbs or whatever into the fermenters, or sometimes it's just something in the production or the shape of the still, or the temperature of the condensers or whatever it is that just gives it its own little signature move. And that's why it's just an absolutely remarkable rum producing, yes, they call it clairin country.
To me, rum and then agave are two spirits that have I've always found wonderful and fascinating because of how much they are part of the cultural fabric of where they come from.
Yeah.
Rum in the Caribbean and then agave spirits in Mexico, much more so, I'd say, than and I mean, we're in a country that loves alcohol. The UK absolutely adores alcohol. We've got rituals like the after-work beer and so on, and people go out lots, but I don't think any other spirits anywhere that I can think of are as part of the everyday cultural fabric of society as rum is in the Caribbean and as agave is in Mexico.
But I think that's almost 100% down to commercialization. I think we would be having the same conversation about Scotland if we went back 250 years. We'd be having the same conversation about grape-based spirits in France if we went back 250 years. But because these categories, and they were never really categories, they became categories, have been commercialized and branded and marketed and exported, so much of that rich cultural attachment to the production has just been kind of lost, and now you go to Scotland. Of course, it's changing with newer producers, but even they, rely on the commercial opportunity and the sort of tropes associated with whiskey production in order to market their products. It's hard to find in Europe. No, maybe not in Europe. Actually, in Europe you definitely can. I'm thinking like sort of Black Forest, for example. But it's hard to find amongst the big spirit categories in Europe people doing it in a sort of culturally sensitive way. They're doing it to sell a product, Yeah. Whereas what we're describing in Haiti and in Mezcal, I mean, you go to some of these communities and places, and yes, of course, they want to make a living out of it, but they're very much doing it the same way it was being done a couple of hundred years ago. And that's kind of the thing about Haiti in a way, is it's just not changed like the rest of the Caribbean has, with consolidation. And so when you go there, you get to see what everywhere else was like a few hundred years ago.
Yeah, in terms of that commercialization, it's almost like they went into a coma and they woke up and the world and like, COVID, what? Like everything changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, of course, it was basically a pariah state, right? I mean, no one wanted to trade with them. There was sort of example was made of them. And so when you've got no trading opportunities, no export opportunity, well, you just keep doing it the same way, I guess.
And that is something that in this current capitalist commoditized world, we can look at in envy and with respect. And it's not backwards. It's it's something we strive for. Like that for me was a real inspiration, actually. The lack of commoditisation of it all is definitely what we're striving for, I think.
But having said that, you've got one of the biggest rum distilleries in Europe, right?
Yeah.
But you asked for that.
But you know what? I did the maths on this, and if I'm wrong on it, someone's going to let me know because they'll hear this. I think if we work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and we had enough fermentation capacity to fill our stills, we would take roughly 500 years to lay down the holding stock that Appleton have today.
Wow.
And that's if we didn't sell anything, and there's no angel share or anything like that. It's just that's how long it would take. So when we talk about being a large distillery,
Context is important.
it's really important. We're tiny.
Yeah.
We are literally your vision of small batch. We have 3 small pot stills. 2 are 1,500 liters and 1 is 3,000 liters. So I get, to some guys, that's not home distillation. That's not a hobby. But that's why we went for that step up on scale, because we've got big ambitions. And for us, if I make a small amount, that's going to be reflected in the price. We wanted to make enough to be able to bring the price down, to not just make quality, but make it accessible for people, accessible for bars, accessible for the industry to use it, to consume it. Because the last thing we want to do is gather dust on a back bar.
Yeah.
Lewis, you've mentioned your stills. You know where I'm going with this. You've got some.
I don't actually.
Okay, well, you've got a double retort.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the only double retort in the UK, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a double retort.
No, Ben at Isla does.
Oh, excellent.
There's 1 or 2 double retorts. We were England's first copper double retort.
England's first.
Yeah.
That's right. Obviously, a classic Caribbean example of
Yeah.
distillation. Do you wanna talk about that still? Because I've always been very interested in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't do what I do because I think the Caribbean needs to wake up and make good rum. There's great rum out there, and I've been in the industry, been inspired by lots of different things. Like even the gin industry has inspired our still designs. We have steam jackets. I think I can't name another rum distillery with steam jackets, and that's because of the gin guys creating that to protect the botanicals and not scorch them, etc., etc. So there's inspiration for that. We've got a simple pot still in the middle of the room. What rum producers are distilling twice pot distilled rum? I mean, yourself. But that's pretty, it's not new, because it's probably how they all originally started, but it's not happening. And so that's more of like a Scotch thing in a way, or the way I would view it is like a single pot distillation, twice distilled. For me, I take the inspiration from Scotch. And then the double retorts are utterly unique in the way that they can produce esters without rectifying them out after the fact. So you want to produce rums with high ester counts, and you want to produce something that has huge amounts of flavor, that is responding to the acids created by the bacterias and the yeasts and stuff like that. You want to engage with that biology bit before the chemistry. The double retort's the best way to pull those flavors through and demonstrate it. So for me, my inspiration comes from DDL. It comes from St. Lucia distillers, the guys that have more than one still that are blending together. And that's why I've got a double retort as part of that setup, because I think I know I'm lucky to have had more than one still, but for me, it's an essential part of like our core flavor profile, because it celebrates what the yeast is doing in particular.
We better try some, haven't we?
Okay, can I get to it?
That's such a cool still, though, the way you can load the retorts up with different.
I'm not sure. I mean, take your advice. That's the one I actually want to taste, but there's a label on that one. So whatever you want. Let's taste this one. It will be more interesting for the conversation.
Who's gonna have the UK's first mug pit? As the real question.
Well, I can show you lots of pictures of our.
I've got 2, but one of them is absolutely vile.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah. We've got like a tame version that's indoor. That's more just sort of, more just like an aged dunder sort of thing, just to add a bit of acid to stuff. And the other one is outside. And if you're downwind of it on a hot day, it is Not great.
Define a hot day.
16 shorts. Shorts with it.
Just move that bottle back over there. If you
So
can.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So is this double retort as well?
It's
By the way, we
actually
can
not.
taste both
Ah,
of these.
come
if you want
on.
to taste both.
That'll be fun,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah. And so this is going to be divisive, especially for a rum drinker, a rum community, because we talked about the identity of rum and we talked about the different flavor profiles. And you mentioned we just tasted the Mistral there, like aged eau de vie. Put this in front of the general public. What would they call this?
Whiskey.
There's the answer right there. Whiskey. By definition, this is rum. There are no additives to this at all. This is straight out of cask. But this, the reason I wanted to taste this with you guys is it is a talking point. But because of this, let's be honest, the bold associated flavors with whiskey. But for me, this is the best example of what I think DropWorks is all about. I used to be a bartender. I still bartend. Bartending is about creating with different things, pulling it together. And what I've done here is literally what I would do behind a bar for a guest to pull things together. One of the phrases we have at DropWorks is that we're small batch, big flavor.
The sweetness on that's nuts. Like,
It's crazy, huh?
yeah. So whiskey cask, I'm assuming.
I should tell you what we got.
Yeah, that'd be good. Like,
Yeah. So just to explain what we've got in the glass, this is something I'm working on that will probably be part of our Distiller's Drop release. So we'll probably launch this in September time of this year. It spent 2 years in an American oak STR, so a recharred cask, char level 2. It's a 225 litre cask. After 2 years, so it's just a Collin distillate, by the way.
What sort of strength does that come off at?
Come off the still. Around, I mean, obviously we've got margins, but the high points of those margins will be about 92.
Okay.
Low points will be about 89.
Right.
And there is so much flavor still in that.
Yeah.
But it's still the lighter style of the rum that we produce. So 2 years in the American Oak STR, and then I split it into 4 Oloroso octaves that had an undisclosed peaty whiskey in before that for a number of months.
I was going to say like the peat immediately for me on the nose.
Yeah, I got it on the taste, but I thought there was something there. I mean, you mentioned sort of whiskey. Serge picked up on whiskey, went on the aroma, and I agree with that. But when you taste it, I'm like, yeah, that could probably sit in this bar quite happily, and no one would know, especially since it's not got a label.
Yeah. What is it? And one of the reasons I'm doing this is a bit of a provocation to not the rum guys, but actually the whiskey guys, to invite them into our world of rum, because a lot of people, as you say, would have tasted and experienced their version of what a rum might be. That's likely to be one of the big guys like a Bacardi or a Captain Morgan's, or it would be one of the big spiced that they've, a Kraken or a Dead Man's Finger or something. So that's their experience of what they believe rum to be. And they've made up their mind about how they view the rum category based on those rums that they've experienced. This would be such a shock to a whiskey drinker that had decided rum wasn't for them, but whiskey is for them.
Indeed. I mean, it's a delicious whiskey. Say it really is. Like, it's lovely.
such a bitch.
No, but it really is. I mean, there's a rumminess there too. No question about it. But I mean, I could very well believe it's whiskey aged in a rum cask or something to that effect.
Sure.
But a whiskey drinker, which I am, which we all are, I'm sure, would taste that and go, that's a damn fine spirit, and they may indeed think it's a whiskey, and if they did, they'd think it's a really good one.
Yeah. And that's so cool to hear, because this is the other thing. We sort of loosely touched on climate, and I think we should go back there at some point in the conversation, but this isn't...
Thanks for keeping this on track.
That's 3.5 hours sleep for you. This is not a whiskey for a number of reasons. Firstly, because it's not a whiskey, because it's a rum. That's the main reason this isn't called a whiskey. But the other reason it's not called a whiskey is because it's only 2 years old, right? So it was 2 years in the American Oak STR, and then it was about 3 months in the octaves. And this is one of the things I get really, really excited about. I take massive respect and inspiration from the Mexicans doing the way they mature and they view maturation of their agave spirits. We look at those categories and we think Reposado, just looking at Reposado just for a moment, the way they balance the flavor of the distillate coming over the still with the cask flavors that has to offer, and that wonderful, youthful, vibrant balance that they get between those two things, I find really exciting. Now, of course, I would say that because I don't have 8-9-year-old liquid, but you've just described this as in a way that I experience it in the same way. It's something you can already appreciate and enjoy at a young age. We will be doing all sorts of other stuff as we get older and mature, but I cannot get out of my mind when I first tasted a 3-month-old rum from one of my casks. I was like, it's ready. It's done. We've got to get it out.
It is surprising how well resolved it tastes for 2 years, 3 months. Or 3 years, 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of crazy. I think had Yumi Yoshikawa from Chichibu on recently, who, I mean, that distillery has sort of become the master of releasing just unbelievable whiskies at pretty young age, 5 to 7 years old. I mean, they have got older stuff now. And, I've tasted other stuff from Scotland as well, whiskies, where they're sort of 3-5 years old. And I'm like, Jesus, that whiskey is ready.
Mm.
And just increasingly, I'm like, just comes down to the skill of the producer. That's all it is. It's like the age really does not matter. You can achieve miraculous things if your distillate in the first place is amazing, and obviously everything that feeds into that, from materials to fermentation, etc., and the distillation itself. And then the barrels, the casks are good, and they're managed correctly, and it's just amazing. And even in the cold climate of Nottinghamshire,
Exactly.
in just over 2 years, you can make a spirit that doesn't need anything else doing to it at all.
Can you imagine my team's reaction when I'm like, guys, it's ready. We've got to release it. It's 1 year old. And they're like, you're mad. Like, what are you doing? But guess what? It's winning gold medals. This is barrel drop. It's technically a 1 year old barrel aged liquid. We're not trying to cheat time. We're not doing anything funny. There's no additives. But the quality of the distillate is really high. And you can really sip our unaged liquids. So as long as you're not extracting too much tannin as you go straight into cask, and then you need to soften that, and yeah, there's stuff you get with time. We're not trying to change that or cheat that. But if you avoid some of the negatives that can happen in cask maturation, those early moments, you can release it really young and people can really enjoy it. And I think that's a real shock to myself, to my team, but also to the wider rum world.
Well, I mean, the assumption with British rum would be, oh, you're going to have to age this 3 times longer, right?
Yeah. And that's why I love the conversation about climate, because it's so misunderstood. There's this idea that it's tropical, it's hot in the Caribbean, and it's continental climate is the way they phrase it, so therefore it's cool. Like, are you mad? It's literally 34 degrees outside right now.
Not in Orkney.
If we'll get to Orkney in a minute.
But I think this also goes back to who drinks that rum. Appleton 15. Let's say Appleton 15. You're not gonna find many Jamaicans in Jamaica drinking 15-year-old Appleton, or anywhere in the Caribbean. You're not going to find the locals drinking these highly aged rums most of the time. It's very much not the style that people who are actually where the rum is made from are looking for. That is very much for the export market. So yes, the difference between continental aging and tropical aging is significant. In that it produces different flavors. I've never liked the whole, it's 3 times faster. No, it isn't. It produces different things. It has different angel share. It produces different flavors, but those aren't, they're for different drinkers.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get more angel share, so the liquid's going to concentrate more. You're going to extract perhaps more out of the cask, but you're not getting more oxidative effects in those hot climates. And sometimes oxidation is the most interesting part of maturation anyway. Like when we taste really good long-aged whiskies made in Scotland, usually it's because the cask didn't give over too much, but the oxidation happened. And 25, 30 years, 35 years, you get something magical. but that's still
The
surprising
last-
that.
Yeah.
The last 50 years of Cuban rum history.
Yeah.
But what you should know about DropWorks in particular, and what we've got in the glass here, is that we've got multiple locations for maturing our casks, all on site. We've got the distillery itself. It's a really big space. It's about 17,000 square feet. And the temperature fluctuations in that building are what really impact the speed of maturation in that building. We've got casks there. So you can imagine it gets really cool. There's no insulation in the building. It's a big slate roof. It cools down, drops enormously overnight. And then when you turn the stills on in the daytime, because we're not running them 24/7, turn the stills on in the daytime, sun comes up, the fluctuations are enormous. That's a big aspect of it. So it's not actually the fact that I'm saying it's 35 degrees outside. It's the fluctuation that has a big impact on the movement of the cask, right? We've got beautiful stone-built buildings, very much like a Scottish dunnage style. We keep them low. It's damp. It's cool. But it's not as damp and as cool as the tunnels that we've also got to age in. So we've kind of got, in a weird way, slow, fast, medium, and slow in terms of what we can do with those casks. But ABV and what you put it into, so we play around with what we cask it at, and if we're going to release it young, we'll put it into cask at a slightly lower ABV. If it's going to a damp place, we like following the Scottish logic of 63.5, letting it drop with the humidity, so that it then extract more wood sugars as time goes on. So we're playing around with that type of stuff, intentionally creating different environments to leave the casks in for different lengths of time. That's the starting point anyway.
Nice.
So far we've had a whiskey and an eau de vie. Colin, do you have some rum?
Do we have time to try one more before we do it, or
Yeah,
shall
or
we
we can
jump
come
straight
back,
on? Come back?
I don't know. What's the best way of doing this? I'm easy.
It's your podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shit. I'm a child. Anyway. Go on. Yeah. Let's do one more of yours, and then we'll go on to Colin. Because it looks like you got. Two.
Just that those two will be grand.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's just there for.
So you got a couple as
for-
well,
as
and
purposes.
well, yeah. So that's fine. Right.
So this is one that is currently still available. In fact, let me just open it.
Is that the fairly recent release?
Yeah.
I was blown away by that.
Oh no! I
Absolutely.
think you sent me a bottle. Of
Thank
that.
you.
I've not-
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, so we have. Oh, let's put it down. We've not seen it.
We'll try it.
Yeah.
I've not tried it. I don't think.
It's-
Or maybe had a younger version of it last year.
Possibly.
Unmarked bottle.
It'd be fun to try because it's still unique flavors, but it's more rummy because it's got the double retort blended into it in a way. Right, so yeah, this is the Bordeaux red wine cask that we did. My favorite thing was watching these casks mature. The journey that they went on as casks was amazing. I'm not going to spend loads of time talking about it, but let's have a.
Sorry, we've only got 2 glasses each, so
That's
you
fine.
have to ditch one into a coffee cup or something, or marry them up, or do a bit of blending.
Eau de vie and whiskey. There you go.
Some of us just drank their rum.
Do you want to pour yourselves?
It's very
Sure.
big enough dram.
So-
but
Yeah, so as I said, we don't need to talk too much about it, but what I did, it's 3 single Bordeaux wine casks, Bordeaux red wine casks. There are 2 Collin distillate casks and 1 double retort cask. We also played around with cane honey that we'd imported from Colombia. And that's what the double retort rum is. It was a short fermentation, so it was a sort of not trying to drive the esters up too
that
high.
tastes like rum.
You got your rum back. Happy face.
Although there's some stone fruit on this as well, I would say.
Yeah, that's nuts.
We're not quite eau de vie territory, but there's definitely some apricot, you know.
What's the
Yeah.
age on it?
Age, I should know,
Actually,
it says 20-something
what?
months.
It's maybe that I'm using that same glass.
Could be.
Fucking Sauternes. It's so
Persistent.
potent.
It's
It's
persistent.
carried into his
I
glass.
still taste the best.
I might get
listen.
another glass.
Actually, you're right. I'm still getting the Mistral on the nose.
I'll get some more glasses.
This.
My master plan.
Well, I thought the smoky one would be the error, but
You will
no,
forever
it's
be tasting
the,
this.
it's the Sauterne.
Is that rum, was it?
It's chewy, isn't it? The tannins
It is.
from the cask.
Oh, yeah.
I could have left it in there for longer, but I just thought it was fun. I thought there isn't a rum in the world out there that tastes like this. In fact, if I'm honest, probably the closest one that reminds me to it was one I really enjoyed from Renaissance.
I'm good with this one.
rum. Renaissance rum, is that what
Yep.
it's called?
Renaissance,
The
yeah.
bold red wine casks
Yeah,
they do there.
the red wine and the Fino cast that they did, yeah, they were both
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, that's
But
Renaissance,
That's,
Renaissance is the
A wee bit different now, isn't it?
less stone fruit.
Sorry, it's shite now.
that stuff's unbelievable. The way that permeates through
Everything
goes
always
near.
felt that cask good.
Did you try the peaches?
I didn't know.
Came out. I'll put this on record. I think that's one of the single best rums I've ever tried.
It's
Really?
absolutely bonkers, isn't it?
Really good.
Yeah.
Have you got some at the show?
no,
all gone.
that's been sold out for a while. Yeah. I personally prefer the Mistral to peaches. I think Mistral has everything that peaches did and more complexity. I think peaches was amazing and it was very much a unique product, but this one is
This smells delightful. It's really nice. There's a really nice sort of brown sugar note on it.
Yeah,
But fruity as well. And
Yeah. I think the descriptives that we put on it were creme brulee and strawberries
yeah,
and
Was
black
the
pepper.
ABV on this?
that sounds about right.
50.7.
you don't even know. Come on.
Yeah, 50.7.
It's been a while.
It's got a label on it.
still pokey.
Yeah.
For
'Cause
9
it's
a.m.,
it's 2 years old, right?
Hey, it's
So-
25 past 9 though. Yeah, come on.
Brown rum tone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But for me, the reason I bottled it is because there's no rum out there like it, and I wanted to show the world. We're not trying to replicate Jamaica. We're not trying to replicate Guyana. We're doing our own thing, and we're playing around. We're having fun, and it's quality, but it's exciting and it's disruptive. Like it's disruptive in the way that I think that's what makes the British rums. That's the Britishness within the British rums. Is that disruptive thing? Is the fact that we can be playful and creative and do our stuff. We don't have. I mean, let's be honest. If you're one of these big commoditized brands, you're run by accountants, not artists running the stills, doing their craft. And I'll be really clear on the record. I said, if you're one of the big guys, right? Okay, because there is artistry out there. But that's what
Doesn't
this
matter.
is.
I'm going to clip for social media and stop it right there.
Done.
I mean,
You ended.
I don't know exactly how you define big guys, but one of the most mind-blowing rums I've ever tried was the blending rum from Sauternes, the makers of Don Q. They have a single column distillate that they keep sort of reblending and adding to, and this was, it was almost like an infinity blend going for, I don't know, decades that they gave me a taster of, and there was so much going on that even just a small amount on your tongue,
Yeah.
was going crazy. Like even big distilleries. I mean, Sauternes used to produce Captain Morgan before it moved to its current distillery. Their capacity is huge, and Donkey is a huge brand, but even distilleries like that have these insane rums depending on what they choose to make and how they choose to make it.
I can't speak for what their motivations are for turning on their stills each day, but the reason we turn ours on is to provide liquid at a great price point that is genuinely exciting for consumers to enjoy. And I think there's a stark difference there between some of the big players that have been doing it for a long time and the smaller startups, the genuine small batch guys that are interested in flavor profile and interested in the end result of how consumers will enjoy it in bars and restaurants and in their houses up and down the country. Thank you for indulging me on those two rums.
No, of course. No, this is what we're here for, to drink rum at breakfast time. No, it's really interesting. I got a lot of respect for what you're doing. I think I mean, just those two rums that we just tried are very different to one another.
Thank you.
But I had your last distiller's drop as well.
Chestnut?
Yeah,
That's what you did?
I think it was. Yeah, that was absolutely banging. So good.
Oh, cool.
Quite estery.
Yeah.
Quite punchy. But really, really, really good.
That was a hogshead, and it was more youthful. It was like 17 months, I think it was. So it was really spirit forward, which, as I mentioned before about respect for the Mexicans, like I love that style personally.
Yeah. Are you releasing any unaged rum?
We are, yeah. So
Drop.
permanently available. We've got Funk Drop, which is straight off our double retort. There's no blending there. That's at 63%. It's wild. It's like a core flavor that threads through most our lines. But then we've got Clear Drop, and Clear Drop's the one I'm really proud of because I blended it, and so I like what comes off the double retort is like a whole other level of artistry, and that's I work with a team, right? And my head distiller, Sean Smith, is phenomenal at what he does. Just for the record, he was the head distiller at White Peak Distillery, so Wireworks whiskey. So all the stuff they've released, that stuff he laid down. Before that, he was Cotswolds Distillery. He was head brewer there when they first launched. He was there for like 4 years or so. So he's the one with the masters from Heriot Watt and the heritage in actual distilling. But I take pride in the fact that I managed to take the distillates that he'd done and blend them into Clear Drop. It's 40%. It's really full flavored compared to a lot of what people are used to experiencing. So when you play with it in cocktails, it's not a vodka by a long shot. It's absolutely a rum. But yeah, proud of those distillates. But it confuses people because like, do I just drink it neat? Because it's like so smooth. And you're like, well, actually, in a weird way, I quite like drinking it as a martini. And I like martinis as a style, as a cocktail. And of course, the classic gin martini, that's what I've drunk for a long time. But drinking our Clear Drop rum at 40% stirred in a martini is a stunning way to drink that expression and that style of rum.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a sort of cultural resistance to drinking white spirits neat, isn't there? It's changing, of course, because of mezcal and tequila. Certain parts of Europe, of course, you have eau de vie, which is obviously drunk unaged. But you know, I often think like the more you get into spirits and the more you start to appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into everything for the barrel, if it's done well, the more you're like, I just want to taste it still and see how well you captured the essence of that material and how well you manage that fermentation and all those things. And, you know, I mean, that's mezcal, you know, in a nutshell. It's, you know, you put it in a barrel and it kind of ruins it most of the time if it's good. I just feel like more and more I'm like, there's so much interest there in spirits that haven't been about. And don't get me wrong, there's still obviously a time and a place for a barrel and you know, an occasion and a cocktail and whatever it might be. And these are delicious spirits that we're trying. But it's maybe it's just uber geekery. I don't know.
I don't think it is. When people come on tours at the distillery, we've got quite a mature audience based on where we are. Quite a lot of people that are retired that will come on to the distillery.
This is the market opportunity for restaurant.
They've got the money, expendable income. No, so we've done quite a few tours, but you see people arrive and you're like, do you have much experience of rum? And you never know what they drink. You never know their backstory. But it always surprises me that you see like a lady in her 70s. It's just like, I've got to be very careful here, but like a lady in her 70s, and you prejudge what she might enjoy. And she walks out with a bottle of Funk Drop at 63%. Because that's the one she enjoys. And it happens all the time. Because and I don't think it is this sort of geekery around appreciating unaged spirits. It's genuine. There's nothing added. There's real flavor, which means there's complexity to it. You mentioned before about spice. That tends to be with a really neutral spirit where they add a flavoring. So that's what it tastes of. You add vanilla, it tastes of vanilla. But it comes straight off the stills and you've engaged with proper fermentation processes and good raw materials. And you end up with complexity. And I think people can cut right through the nonsense and enjoy that.
Right, Collin, you're up.
Yep.
So tell us more about tell us more about the distillery, the history, how it got started, what it's like running a distillery on Orkney.
Super fun. You should do it.
Everyone should do it.
So yeah, 2013, I think I moved back to the sort of family business. 2001, my dad started making fruit wine in Orkney. He entered all the sort of local homebrew competitions and everything, and he would win first, second, and third prize like every year. And people were like, "Can I buy this?" And he was like, "Not legally, no." So he started making fruit wine. We're still doing a bit of that. 25 years it's been going. But around 2015, sort of rejoined the company, and he was sort of pushing me to take over, sort of thing. But I stole half of the building and started making rum instead. So he's still unable to retire and still making the wine, but I'm doing the rum.
What made you go into doing rum?
I've always drank rum, like obviously from the age of 18, definitely not before that.
Morgan Spice?
No, actually, it was mostly like Brugal and Cockspur and stuff like that.
Okay.
Any sort of aged
Probably,
stuff
I guess it's a trade up from Morgan Spies.
that you could get in Orkney, to be fair, which was limited.
I mean,
anything that wasn't-
Scotland's a big rum producer.
anything that
rum
wasn't
consuming nation,
OVD.
isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah, but it's
not-
OVD.
I'm not.
Scotland brings the
Yeah.
most OVD in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only people that do. I think. But then you go to Shetland, they've got their own version called Stewart's rum, which is, it's like turbo OVD. But yeah, so 2016, 2017, the stills arrived and started making rum pretty much. It's a 2,000 litre hybrid pot still, I think it's called. It's just an eye still, basically, but we've modified it quite a lot to basically behave the way we want it to. Had quite a few problems with it and stuff.
Those are the ones where they're sort of like modular, right? And you
Yeah.
can stack fermenters.
Yeah, so it's a big
and-
square
Yeah.
box with a pipe.
It's made by
sticking out
some
the top.
mad Nordic guy, right?
Dutch guy.
Dutch guy. Right.
They're all, that explains it, I think. But yeah, it has a column mounted directly on top of the pot, a valve that controls how much liquid is coming over. So basically, if you have that valve open, you're running it like a pot still, which is what we do for our, primarily for our aged stuff, is we do strip and run and a spirit run, so double distilled. And then for any of the sort of wild yeast or unaged stuff, we close that valve up and get more rectification going on in the column, and then we get that spirit coming off at about 85%. So we do a single pass in it that way. So quite versatile. And we put both down in casks because obviously we don't 100% know what it's going to be like at 8 years old or whatever, and then it gives us options when it comes to blending it.
How are you approaching fermentation?
So we ferment 5 to 7 days usually. And for the wild yeast stuff up to like a month, but yeah, it's about 7-day average. Nowhere near as high gravities as Outlier, but we're usually 8 or 9% wash. And then yeah, most of the time it's double distilled.
Okay.
We use a couple of different strains of commercial yeast, and we use a lot of wild yeast as well, from various different sources. So every year we do a wild yeast release. We've just released the 5th one.
When you say wild yeast from different sources, what do you mean by that?
Nothing weird. But
Yeah, but so we're not talking about you're not talking about natural fermentation. Then you're talking about
we have done make up the wash, leave the tank outside during the day, bring it back in during the night. Hopefully yeast has gotten in, but the success rate with that is a bit ropier than just because where we are, there's obviously no trees. And we're right next to the sea. It's not as consistent. So what we do is we isolate yeast from things that grow around the distillery. So what we tend to do is use the northern marsh orchid. There's like a purple orchid that grows this time of year. So yeah, we isolate yeast from that. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can make up wash and put some petals in, leave it, and then scale that up directly if it's smelling good. And just pitch that, which is sort of the lazy way to do it, which is sort of the way I'm doing it now.
sounds very Haitian way of doing it.
But the way I first did it was make like 10 sterile samples, sterile worts, swab the petals, swirl them in, leave them for 2 weeks, smell which ones smell good. If it smells cheesy, it's probably lacto and not yeast. Take the ones that are good, replicate them, streak it onto agar plates, isolate individual strains, scale it up from
Okay,
like
now you're
50
talking. This is
50 ml starter up to like 40 liters, which is what we needed to like.
so you're selecting by smell and then propagating based on.
Yeah.
that.
So and you count the yeast cells under the microscope to figure out how much.
I love the sort of
yeast you
weird
need.
contrast between like throw some orchid petals in there and smell it, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you're in a lab with a microscope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started off doing it the sort of more technical way, but as I've gotten more proficient at it, I just sort of yeet it in now, and it's grand.
Do you have a degree in like chemistry or some?
No, I didn't really do much in school, to be honest. If they told me you could make alcohol in school, I probably would have paid attention, but I didn't.
It's not on the syllabus, even to this day. I can tell.
No,
you.
it's
Yeah,
terrible.
dreadful, yeah.
But yeah, we've done, last year we got stuff from gorse, yeah, all sorts of different flowers and things, and fruits. There's yeast everywhere, but as I said, not from anywhere weird.
Do you find that taking yeast for these various sources, different flowers, in some way you get some of that florality specific to the flower that comes through, or some
people say, "Oh, it's very floral,"
obviously
but then
it sounds very romantic to say so.
I think
is there anything in that?
in their head because
Yeah.
they're thinking of the flower when they're tasting it.
Sometimes that's good enough, though, isn't it?
But then some people just don't get it at all. Like I did a tour for tour guides, explained about the wild yeast, everything, the whole process. At the end, they come to the shop and taste it, and you give them the unaged, the first one we did, which was nuts, and they're like, "Oh, so is this one spiced too?" I'm just like, I'm away. how many orchids did you use to make this? I'm just like, "Oh, you're not picking them." I'm just like, no, like no orchids were harmed. Like they just people don't really understand it. Yeah, there's yeast on
No.
most flowers.
I mean, it's a challenge
anything.
with education on spirits in general, isn't it? Because fermentation's never been the most sexiest thing to talk about, is it? I mean, it's for most people, it's a kind of icky word. It's like off food or whatever.
Sure.
And so to kind of extol the incredible flavor engine that is fermentation to
It's absolutely nuts.
an uninformed consumer is really tricky. Like you got to really carefully use the right language and go through the production without making it boring or confusing. And I was trying to take a cap off a bottle that already had no cap. Let's just ditch the water glass at this point. So it's really hard to kind of say, you know, actually this is where, because it's also kind of mystical and weird that the fact this is even happening in the first place. You know, I mean, yes, there's science that underpins it, but yeah, we're not just making alcohol, we're making flavor.
Yeah.
And that flavor is some way derived by the natural yeast that are present on these different plants. Like, people were just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't come to sort of like a mysticism work.
And obviously we haven't had the strains like identified or anything, so we don't really know
Yeah.
what they are either. We have our own DIY yeast bank in the freezer, so we have saved all these strains from over the years. So we technically can replicate them, but I think there is a sort of romance to doing it once and not doing it again. So I think
singular
that's
nature
different
of it,
every
yeah.
year. I think that's kind of cool. To be
Yeah.
honest.
So celebrating the inconsistency.
That's it, So this one isn't the wild yeast one. That'll be the next one. This is the 8-year-old. So the oldest UK produced rum ever. Well, my first 8-year-old was the first ever, but this is, you know,
Get what you're saying.
this is core range. So it's bourbon casks for 6.5 years, Madeira for 1.5.
Which one's this one? What's the name of it?
Pieces of 8, because
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
we're named after a pirate and everything's pirate themed.
Oh, yeah. So he was an Orkney pirate.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
John Gow, yeah. Not the most successful pirate, but you know, he did his best.
You're my favorite
That's
pirate.
well good. Thanks, man. That means a
I
lot.
agree, actually, because I'm normally quite critical of the whole pirate stuff.
We try and do it classy, you know, which is hard to not do it mad.
But no, that's a clever little twist, isn't it? Because there are a lot of shit pirate-themed rums out there. But to be able to kind of bring it to the UK, still tell that same story, actually have a story about someone that no one's really heard of, or not so much, and then to apply it to rum, which obviously has the pirate connotations in a good way, I think.
Yeah, he was the last pirate to be hanged in the UK as well.
Was
I
he?
think execution dock. He hung for 4 minutes, and then the rope snapped, and then they made him do it again.
Oh, nightmare.
He climbed back up without saying a word as well, so proper hardcore.
Oh, wow.
But pretty cool. And then I think 20 or 30 years before him, there was French privateers that attacked the island that we're actually on as well. So there is a real history of piracy in Orkney. It's just not as spoken about as like Vikings because it's not as glamorous apparently. Yeah, still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Still a few pirates about as well.
Yeah.
Downloading illegal films.
You wouldn't download a house.
You wouldn't download the rum.
Wow. 8 years old.
43% core range, so it's not as mental as some of the other ones, but
It's a bit unfair coming after the big full flavored stuff that we've done. This is still really, there's a lot in the glass still.
Yeah. It's elegant. Like, it's really nice.
thank you. That's cool.
So what is it like on Orkney? What are the sort of challenges? I mean, obviously, I guess
Weather.
I don't know any different, but what are the challenges that Orkney uniquely faces in terms of maturation?
The weather's a big factor. Like in the winter, the distillery will be like 2 degrees, and it's not fun.
Wind there as well.
Oh man, it's brutal.
The Isle of Man is very much similar.
Is it?
In terms of, I was talking to Ian. He uses the magical power of gravity to get the molasses from the IBC that he imports into the fermenter. And in the summer, to fill the fermenter, it takes him about maybe an hour and a half. In the winter, it takes him about 24 hours.
It's so viscous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drips.
That's why I
so,
tend
so
to do the
slowly.
bulk of my production in the summer, because the molasses flows better, the yeast is happier, and I'm happier. So it's
So that's just like a consideration that you never would think of.
something I don't have to worry about in Jamaica. I don't.
No. Yeah.
Going from your small scale where you can just mix it up to, we've got a couple of, for us, it would be a 6,000 litre wash. Right, how do I physically move that from there to there? Oh, pump, right, okay. So how do I pump molasses when it's that cold?
Yeah. We have a IBC heater jacket that we put on to warm the molasses up in the winter.
Can we borrow it?
Same, but even so.
Yeah, even so, it's but yeah, we're on Lamholm, which is an uninhabited island. The only other thing on it's an Italian chapel built by prisoners of war.
Oh, I've been there.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah, because they sent a lot of Italians up there, didn't
They
they?
did,
Yeah.
So they built the Churchill barriers,
Yeah.
which were to stop submarines getting into Scapa.
Yeah.
Well, definitely not for that. It was to connect the communities, but so we're across that. And
It's a
then
massive naval base.
in the
during
winter,
World War II,
they'll.
wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
So I think it's
It was
the
the-
largest natural harbour in the world, isn't
Yeah.
it? Scapa Flow. Scapa. Yeah.
So there's a mad history there.
Yeah. I remember because I went there when I was doing the whiskey book, and heard some great stories about GIs bathing in the washbacks at Highland Park or maybe Scapa during World War II. They'd just go down and have big baths because they
Nice.
weren't during production. Like, imagine that, having a bath in a huge wooden washback, like a mascot tub, basically, isn't it? Except, of course, it's Orkney, so it's cold.
Yeah. But yeah, the barriers will get shut in the winter because the waves are just smashing across it, so you
Yeah.
can't even get to work.
I mean, there's no
Just-
trees really
there is
at all on Orkney. I mean, there's a few spots
there's
in
a-
there. Yeah.
I've got like one in my garden.
Yeah.
That's,
They don't survive well up there, do they? Because the wind is just.
they grow to like the height of the house, and then they start growing horizontally.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It is mad, but
Yeah, like 2 degrees in the winter, and then the summer our warehouse will reach the dizzying heights of 25 degrees.
What's it? Because we've had
Sometimes.
a couple of heat waves in the UK recently. What's it got up to?
19, which was really nice actually. You can smell the barbecues everywhere. It's lovely.
Well, from the 7 people who live there.
Yeah, man.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, we've obviously got there's quite a few distilleries in Orkney. There's the 2 big whiskey ones, and then 2 of the gin ones have just moved into whiskey as well, but we're the only dedicated rum distillery in Orkney. 2,000 litre still. I do 100% of the production side of things myself. So like the actual making of the rum. Then I've got someone who runs the shop for me. And my sister works for me part-time as well, so she does all the labelling and helps with bottling and stuff. And my dad is semi-retired, which basically means he can't be arsed. But if I need him, he'll always come and help with bottling, cask, and all that sort of stuff. We do our own cooper and all that stuff. You have to sort of be able to do everything yourself because you can't phone a guy because there is no guy. So yeah, very hands-on, do everything.
And then are there other sort of logistical issues in terms of like frequency of, I don't know, deliveries arriving or stopping?
Yeah, if you're trying to get stuff off island in the winter, you gotta deal with boat cancellations and stuff. And
Yeah, those ferry
people-
crossings from the mainland.
people don't always
Crazy.
get that why their order's delayed, but it's like, well, there's not been a boat for 3 days, so it's like.
I
Yeah,
got
it
grounded on
happens.
Orkney once because it was so windy. The airport wasn't working.
Oh, you've got slightly bigger planes now, so they're a little bit more robust.
It's not the
They're
same.
still ATRs, which they switched from Sabs, which no longer get made, to ATRs, which also don't get made anymore, but they're like 10 years newer. But, you know, still propeller planes and still.
Do you consider yourself as much sort of Scandinavian as Scottish?
I'm Dutch anyways.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Of course, yeah. So you really do consider yourself over that direction.
I don't know. Orkneys kind of probably still consider themselves more Scottish, but I think it's Shetland that are definitely like, we're Vikings. Screw you guys. But I think if you go, that's too far north. Like that explains that. You know,
Shetland, even like when you see like a weather map, they put Shetland.
They always miss them out, which I think.
Or miss them out. It's too far.
Oh well,
because like England would be this tiny dot if you had to have Shetland up there as well. You could see.
I've got a lot of mates in Shetland. I've been up a few times, and it's sort of even wilder than Orkney. I think.
Yeah, I've not been there.
They start making whiskey now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I need to go at some point.
Right, so we'll
Shall we
do
try the other one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so this is
You're not going anywhere.
Okay.
this is the latest wild yeast one. So this is 3 years old, orchid yeast blended with a batch that we did with Hefeweizen beer yeast. So a lot of isoamyl acetate, a lot of banana esters. This is 1 chestnut cask blended with 2 PX octaves on like 460 bottle release.
Wow, that's a lot. Chestnut cask and PX octaves.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know why I did it, because like explaining it to people is going to be a nightmare. But so it's like it's these 2 yeasts and there's these. Yeah, it's just like
the unaged version of this.
yeah, we did the unaged version
Huge favorite.
2 years ago, was it? I think
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago. We had our first aged wild yeast last year, which was just the orchid yeast on its own. But this is
Smells
this is
amazing.
The blend,
The
55%. So
the isoamyl acetate is still there.
yeah.
Still banana-y.
But if you do a daiquiri with this, it tastes like a banana daiquiri. It's awesome.
That's really good. It's got a slight medicinal note to it as well. It's really
I
interesting.
think that comes through quite a lot in a lot of our stuff.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I love this. So good.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Where are you guys all getting molasses from?
ED and F, man.
Yeah.
Alistair, he's the boy.
Yeah.
Big shout out, Al.
Yeah, I actually want to do a big industry sit down knowledge interview style thing with it's Alistair, isn't it?
Yeah.
From EDF and Man. His knowledge of sugarcane production and molasses and the nuances between like one molasses to another and the location
Oh, he sounds like a good podcast guest.
he'll be a great one. Yeah. So yeah, EDF and Man import molasses into the
Millions
UK
and millions
already.
of tons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know where it originally comes from?
Yeah, they'll give us the spec sheets. The current stuff we just got was Indian, but a lot of time it's Dominican or Brazilian or
And do you know?
all over. It depends on the time of year.
I presume you have sort of certain parameters around, sugar. I don't know.
We're looking
other
for
things
the
that-
sugar content percentage, really. And for me, lower viscosity is ideal because then it likes to run about easier. But yeah, we're just looking for that around about 50% sugar percentage is what we go for. You tend to notice a bit of variation in how volatile it is when it's fermenting. Like, oh shit, I forgot the anti-foam. Well, that's gonna bite me in the ass because the last one was fine. This stuff is just going nuts. But and the smells are slightly different. But overall, spirit-wise, I think it's easy enough to control it and keep it consistent if your sugar percentage is the same. That's what we're finding anyway.
It's one of the reasons we do double pot distilled as opposed to double retort, right? Double pot distilled to celebrate the flavors of the molasses itself rather than driving up esters or rectifying it out through a column. Molasses itself has not really had enough time in the limelight, so to speak. But it's really not like wine, right? And I'm saying this mostly for the listeners because I'm assuming most of the people around the table will know about this. But your rum doesn't taste the way it does because of the molasses you use. Not really. We've tasted so much flavor on the table. We've all used the same source of molasses, the same raw material. It's not like wine where it's not just a grape varietal, but the field, the age of the vines, the direction of the sunlight to it. It's nothing like that. or not in the style of rums that we produce. It's a stable raw
when it
material.
comes to cane juice, obviously.
Yeah, totally different.
all that.
Totally different.
Yeah, you can taste the field it's grown in.
But it's a really important issue for us to mention as British rum producers or as UK rum producers, because you don't grow sugarcane here. Like there's an elephant in the room, right?
Yeah, but we get that every day. People
Yeah.
come in with their hands on their backpack thinking, I've got the fuck, I'm gonna fucking say it. Gonna say it. Got the best thing ever. Just come in. Where do you get your sugar from? I'm just like, go ask Highland Park or Scapa where they get their grain from, please.
Well, there's a lot of
question.
producers in the Caribbean that
come
don't
on.
have a sugarcane industry.
Yeah.
or something, you know?
Yeah. But that's
Every day.
that's not the understood version, right? It's not what consumers have understood, and it's not what people.
Or
like,
people
shine
think
lights on.
that you use sugar beet as well. We get that a lot.
Yeah,
That's,
you're in Europe, so that's sugar beet, right?
So as well as like the wild yeast, we're also messing about with muck and dunder and stuff. So this is, I only have 3 50ml bottles of this because it's all gone into last year's blend, and I'm absolutely gutted that I didn't keep some full-size bottles. So this is wild gorse yeast that we used 300 liters of muck in the run. You can smell it, you can taste it, do whatever,
Definitely
but
gonna
this is nuts. That's the highest ester thing I've ever made, and it's
You're good to 10 past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's absolutely
15
One
nuts.
of the best analogies I've come up with for people to try and get their heads around importing molasses, right? is, A, it's already here. But there's a really big sustainability thing here. That I know we could go down big rabbit
Is
hole,
that yeah,
but where do you buy your chocolate from?
that's the only one I've got with me.
You know? And that's a really good, quick way of explaining to people. It's not the raw material grown in West Africa that brings the value to the end product.
Yes,
We trust the Belgians.
Smell it.
It's big. we trust the Belgians to make chocolate. We trust the Swiss, green and black. These guys are off, boys. We've been drinking rum. So, but yeah, it's the craftsmanship of the chocolate producer, right?
But then it's a slightly difficult conversation, isn't it? Because you've got a consumer who's becoming increasingly aware of the importance of agriculture and raw material. But then in this instance, you have to kind of switch that slightly and go, well, yeah, that's a bit of it, but actually a lot of it is in what we do with it when it arrives, or most of it's in what we do with it arrives, the craftsmanship, So you have to kind of challenge the recently acquired notions that, you know, the raw material is kind of key in all of this thing.
Yeah. And that's it's one of my favorite phrases in life. If you're not confused, you haven't understood. Like if you go to a certain level of knowledge, you
Probably
go,
this podcast sort of subtitle, really.
it's a great way to live, right? To view it that way. And I still treat rum that way. I don't come into a room or a training that I'm about to deliver and go, I am the authority here. Like, you're learning all the time, and if you're not confused, you haven't understood. And I love that about sort of every time you visit a distillery, you get something new. Yeah. And it sat next to yourself, hearing about like your temperatures, the conditions that you have.
Yeah.
That's not something I'm experiencing, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, we just got our new cask warehouse 2 years ago. So before all the casks were in where the still is, now they're in a separate area, tighter together. We're seeing a few changes as well, like less angel share with less airspace around the cask and everything. So it's going to be interesting how that.
How many casks you got laying down?
About 160, 170, but we just got a delivery Wednesday, which is lucky because it was supposed to come today, but I'm the only one who can drive a forklift. So came on Wednesday. So
How many have you got?
We've not gone as big as people think. We've got circa 300.
So the biggest in the UK is Isla rum on Isla, funnily enough. Speaking to Ben last night, he's got 800 casks down.
And
but they're not,
and it's good. It's good liquid.
So they're just churning it out.
You got one? 4 casks.
4.
4 delicious casks.
Yeah, our oldest
Cut
stuff,
on in.
Our oldest
back
stuff
to it.
is
3 American oak and 1 Sauternes.
Our oldest stuff is 8.5 now. We'll have 12s in the pipeline that we've like planned for from the start, and then beyond that, it'd be cool to keep a couple back and do some really old stuff, just because it'd be mad.
Yeah,
having a 15 or an 18 would be super cool.
I think what's exciting, it's not about how many casks you've laid down. Really, I just wanted to get a sense of I wanted to picture it because I've not been there. Like we've laid down 300 because that's the right amount to lay down at this point. There's not a demand for it yet, you know. Otherwise, it'd just be self-indulgent. Let's lay down 1,000 barrels. Let's lay down 2,000 barrels. Yeah. Who's going to drink it?
Also, it turns out your stuff's pretty good at like 2 or 3 years old. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start to wrap this up a little bit. By the way, that is so again, this is dunder, is it?
Gorse yeast that wasn't very strong, so only fermented to about 5%. And then we pitched like 300 liters of dunder into it and left that for like another week. And then we distilled it, and it's violent.
So how long was the fermentation in total?
27 days.
What's the congener count in it?
I don't know. I haven't had it.
It's high.
It's high.
To produce that without a double retort is really impressive.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If you have it, that's the cool thing about the column directly on the still. We can sort of throw all the stuff that you'd have in your separate retorts in together.
Yeah.
And then if we tighten that valve up and get the thing just refluxing like mad, you're getting so much esterification in that column. Which is,
and what does it come off at?
Mid-80s. Even our white rum.
So that's usually
we hit 89% the other day, and that's usually quite high for us.
Okay.
So it's usually 85.
So much concentration of flavor for like a reasonably high distillate strength as well.
63-ish, yeah.
Yeah, but you said it comes off in mid-80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a 63.
Yeah. It's got that like pineapple cheesy funk thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot in that glass.
Yeah.
It's like an 80s cocktail stick.
This was
A little hate. That could be on the label. A little hate.
Maybe that's
Hedgehog
the graphic on the label.
Hell yeah.
It's a cocktail stick.
Yeah,
this
that'd
is
be awesome.
This is the first thing that scared me today.
Like, totally won't be the last thing. I think waking up as well probably would have been pretty scary.
Again?
That was unpleasant.
Oh, so soon. All right, so look, let's talk. We'll finish up just talking a little bit about the category again, because we sort of started there, then we've gone through what you guys are doing, which is fascinating in its difference and in its difference really, and also its quality. We've been talking, like the industry has been talking about a sort of rum boom for, well, pretty much as long as I can remember.
Yeah, as long as we've been going.
Yeah. I mean, God, when I first started bartending in 2001, like Havana Club was kind of the big thing at that time, and it was mojitos and it was daiquiris were coming in, and everyone was saying like rum's gonna be this next big thing. And it's like, what's your take on this? Like, I don't know. I'm not actually up to speed on volumes, and volumes probably are misleading anyway because it's likely shit mostly, unspiced.
Spiced.
But where do you think that we are on the precipice of a rum boom that sort of creates a sort a different section of the category that is similar to single malt whiskey?
I hope so. I think it helps that we're all pushing out quality stuff, quality aged stuff. We're very informative on our labels, like still type, maturation length, like cask type, everything, rather than dark rum that's never seen a cask, you know. And if we flood the market with nothing but good stuff, we can only hope that it does sort of push the change. You do start seeing it in consumers a lot, like the 8-year-old is selling as well as the spiced rum, which is amazing to see, but it's going to sell out before next year's one is ready. But for a core range thing, that's kind
part
of
the problem. You've got to speculate on these
that's it.
rums,
But as we get into the older stuff, we'll have more of it, obviously. But yeah, I think it is starting to change, and I hope it continues to.
I think the very existence of companies like ours is a sign that there is a rum boom. It's unlikely to reach the levels that, you know, gin went to around 2017, 2018, but that's partially because the market has changed. You know, the spirits market has changed massively, but people are embracing, and then this sounds like marketing talk, but people are genuinely embracing quality and provenance over quantity. Increasingly, consumers, in my experience anyway, when you talk to them. So I think there is a rum boom. I don't think there's going to be one where it dominates the market, but it is growing and it is diversifying much more into premium and quality rather than just spiced or
Bubblegum flavored.
Yeah.
or commodity
Yeah.
commodity rum. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or, our big friendly producer from Puerto Rico.
I used to be really angry about this because rum's been its own worst enemy, telling people to drink it in cocktails. Don't get me wrong, a spicy margarita is doing great things for volumes of tequila and for mezcal, etc. But for as long as you tell people rum is an ingredient, then and you talk about disingenuously talk about the history of rum, you're not telling people to take you seriously. And that premiumization is not happening. And that is why I created DropWorks. It gives me tingles on the back of my spine thinking about it, because it genuinely made me angry. I'm now optimistic and I'm really hopeful because the big guys out there are starting to really put great quality liquid out there as well. We've seen some amazing releases over the last 5 years or so from some big name distilleries. And more and more consumers are experiencing quality rum as a sippable product that should be taken seriously for what it is, not as an ingredient, but as something to enjoy. And we were at a whiskey show. We completely hijacked it. It was great. We were at a whiskey show in Birmingham. There were 400 whiskeys in the room, and our 1-year-old barrel-aged rum, additive free, was the biggest selling bottle of the show. Consumers are after this. Consumers genuinely want this liquid. They just don't know it exists yet. And so the longer this goes on, the more producers there are. We are not competition. There's no competition at this table. We're all on the same side, fighting for quality produce and for consumers to get more knowledge, to understand they've got quality in these bottles. And that is happening. So I don't think this is like we saw with gin. It's not going to happen that quickly. There's a barrier to entry, time in cask, etc. And the scale of the operation to produce quality rum is significant compared to gin. To start with, you've got to create a brewery as well as a distillery, right? So there's a barrier there. I think that prevents a huge wave of producers, but there's enough of us out there now, and there's enough of us doing real quality at affordable price points. And I think more and more people are learning as we go that there's something exciting happening.
Yeah, well said. I think education is just the key, isn't it? And if you, although sometimes it can be frustrating, look how far rum has come in, let's say, the last 50 years. Obviously, none of us are 50, but you go back to the latter part of the last century, rum, certainly speaking from a UK point of view, was a monosyllabic word that went in grog and had something to do with pirates. And that's pretty much as far as it went, right? Maybe made from sugar? Don't know. Caribbean. And look where we are now. First of all, there are a bunch of rum cocktails that are associated with rum that are enjoyed by many different people. And that, I think, probably was phase one.
Yeah.
With the Cuban style rums, the mojitos and the daiquiris and that sort of thing. And now I'd like to think that there is increasing awareness of the different origins of rum, and that actually, Bacardi doesn't taste the same as Appleton and doesn't taste the same as Mount Gay or whatever. And now, we have British rum too, and we have rums being produced in other parts of Europe and the rest of the world. And so it's come so far. Like there's been so much progress in the category. And that's why I think it's really important, and you guys know this better than I do, obviously, because you're living it every single day, to not become sort of jaded by, oh, wow, like, God, why can't people start respecting this? And why aren't they sipping it? And why are they in cocktails? And no, because this is a slow process. And that's one of the things that actually gives me a lot of optimism around rum is, we keep going back to gin, but, the gin boom was fast as fuck, and then it died pretty fast as well.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I think we've been having this long conversation about when's rum coming up is because it has been coming up, and it's been happening slowly. And that, I think, suggests good prospects for the future, because if it's coming up slowly, it will go down slowly. Yeah. And hopefully it will maintain that position for a long time. Okay, final question. Where do you see British rum being in 10 years' time?
We'll all have really old stuff, which is super cool. And we'll all be really old as well, but
We'll get our 5th barrel. I think it's a category that will keep on expanding. I think the real watermark of progress, or the real way to judge where British rum will be in 10 years will be to see which of the big guys has bought a brand or even developed the brand in-house. But someone is going to at some point, maybe Diageo or one of the other big ones, or Pernod is going to acquire British rum at some point. And when that happens, I think that's when we can categorically say that it's become a significant rum producer.
Yeah, I think rum as a broad category, let alone British rum, is going through that change that we talked about. But I think British rum is going to be known for the one flying the flag and leading that charge, even though they don't have the hundreds of years of rum production as part of that story. That we are the ones that are asking for that change, that are forcing with the catalyst for that change. And I think it will be a big change across the industry. But I honestly think within 10 years, there will be more than one British rum that is internationally distributed, that the best bars around the world are aware of, using and enjoying, and where it goes from there, who knows? I honestly think there's a chance that it could become the Japanese whiskey of the whiskey world, in the sense that they're not reinventing the wheel, but the craftsmanship that was brought to it and the respect that comes with that became known internationally. And if you think about what Britain's really famous for, artisanal produce, quality. I mean, you've got Scotch, you've got gin, you've got the craft beer, and then you think of the engineering side and the history of that here. I mean, Heriot-Watt University and the knowledge from there. It's got, here in Britain, the UK, we've got phenomenal knowledge and craftsmanship. I think that in the same way that we look at Japan and think, what are they famous for, like internationally, and we respect them for those things, I think there's a lot of respect that can come with the British identity to rum as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way, Britain, and I sort of learned this while we've been talking today, Britain is uniquely placed to sort of take that position, because there is a history of rum here, obviously, with blending and with the colonial period, but not a history of making it. And so if done correctly and sensitively, there's the opportunity to exploit both of those things and to kind of take the best of both worlds, certainly from a marketing perspective, but also from a skills perspective, like you say as well, which clearly there is, because these have been amazing. It's been so great fun, like talking to you guys and drinking some rum before breakfast time. Nearly all of it high proof. Well done. And then we're all going to a rum show shortly as well. So it's going to be a long day.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.